I would like to extend a warm welcome to members of the Council, officers and members of the public and press in attendance at this Council meeting of the 13th of April 2026. Welcome to those who may be watching the meeting live on YouTube. I am Councillor John Sleep, Chairman of the Council. Please note that this meeting is being broadcast live on the Council's website and on YouTube. It will remain available for a minimum of 12 months. Please switch any mobile devices, including laptops, to a silent setting for the duration of the meeting. And if the fire alarm rings, please can everyone leave the room immediately and use the nearest signed fire exit. Please go to the fire assembly point located at the bottom of the car park by the garages. I will take apologies. Chief Executive, do you have any apologies to report?
Apologies for absence have been received from Councillors Adam, Hartsman, Mbala, Reid and Young. Are there any other apologies? Thank you.
Thank you. We will go to agenda item 1, the minutes. Do members agree the minutes of the meeting held on the 26th of February 2026 as a correct record?
Agreed.
Thank you. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest.
Chairman, can I declare an interest? I believe that there's a petition being presented this evening, and that's going to be presented by my daughter and my son-in-law.
Thank you. Any others?
Councillor Armstrong.
Councillor Armstrong.
I did speak to Democratic Services and they said I should raise it. I'm a signer of the petition and I need to declare that.
Yeah. Could I just go to the monitoring officer regarding this?
Yeah, could I just, given Councillor Armstrong's declaration that he signed the petition, we acknowledge that a number of members may have signed the petition. It's not a pecuniary interest. If a member does want to declare that they have signed it for transparency, they are more than welcome to do so, but just to be clear, it's not a requirement to do so.
Councillor Dunning.
I've signed it as well, so I'd like to declare.
We'll move to agenda item 3, Chairman's announcements. Since I last reported to you on the civic engagements undertaken, I have attended several events throughout our district and also Hampshire. Within the district, I attended the Mayor of New Milton's civic celebration, where awards were handed out to the community champions from the town. I also attended the Friends of the New Forest Airfields, FONFA, launch of film and lecture, held at the Heritage Centre in Branscore. Out of the district, I attended a Civic Day event in Winchester, held at the Royal Logistics Corps Museum, and 2 charitable events in Fareham and Southampton. Finally, a reminder, I will be holding my civic service on Sunday the 19th of April at 3 p.m. at St Win's Church, Totton, and I would be delighted if you could support this important event. We will now go to agenda item 4, Leader's Announcements. Leader of the Council, do you have any announcements?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have none.
Thank you. Agenda item 5, Notice of Petition. Keep the New Forest Together. Members, we have notice of a petition on the agenda for the meeting tonight. This petition was started following the government announcement of the local government reorganisation decision for Hampshire, which for the New Forest district splits the district's current area across 2 unitary councils from April 2028. The waterside parishes of Totton and Ealing, Marchwood, Hythe and Dibden and Fawley would form a new unitary authority currently known as South West Hampshire, with Southampton, Eastleigh and some of the southern parishes of Test Valley. The remaining area of the New Forest district would form a new unitary authority currently known as Mid Hampshire, with the remaining areas of Test Valley, Winchester and East Hampshire. The petition is currently live and the link to the petition was published with the Council agenda. As of this morning, it has received 13,115 signatures. I have been asked by officers to highlight that when the petition was submitted to the Council, it had received 5,350 signatures, as outlined on the agenda for this evening's meeting. Furthermore, the Council's petition scheme invites petitions from those who live, work or study in the NFDC area. There is a small proportion of signatories within the submitted petition from people outside of the area. For example, those who live overseas. However, officers are satisfied that the petition meets the threshold of 1,700 signatures for a full council debate. Before I ask the petition organisers to address members, I understand that the leader, Councillor Cleary, has a procedural motion she would like to propose. Councillor Cleary.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, I would like to move a motion to suspend standing orders, specifically to extend the amount of debate time currently allowed on this item. I would like to extend the time from 15 minutes to 30 minutes for the Council's debate, whilst maintaining the normal time limit of 3 minutes per councillor. I have a seconder, Malcolm Wade.
Councillor Malcolm Wade, I understand you wish to second.
I'm happy to second you.
Thank you. Does any member wish to speak on this proposal? Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Dunning.
You can't hear. You need a microphone.
I will speak as part of the debate.
On the proposal.
Does anyone want to speak on the proposal that's before them at the moment?
Suspend standing orders.
Councillor Glass.
Thank you. I haven't heard the petition yet, but I've been speaking, because I'm a waterside councillor, I've been speaking to people on the waterside.
Councillor Glass, this is just a procedural thing. We're just debating on whether we extend the period that people can talk.
Oh, sorry.
That's all.
I think we should, so it ignores me.
Right, okay, good. We will go straight to a vote on that one then. Thank you.
Okay, so straight to a vote. So members.
Members, we'll now go to the vote on this proposal.
Okay, members, the proposal in front of you is moved by the leader. That's to extend the time limit allowed for debate on this item. It's 15 minutes in the Council's constitution, and the leader, seconded by Malcolm Wade, is proposing to extend that to 30 minutes. That's the proposal. Okay, Chairman, that results with you.
That vote is carried 4-2. Thank you. Members, I would now like to welcome James and Emily Hartley-Binns, the petition organisers who are present at the meeting tonight. They are also supported by the Right Honourable Sir Julian Lewis, MP for New Forest East. Could you move forward, please? Can you move to the reserved seats in the Council chamber, James? I understand you are presenting this petition. You will have 5 minutes in which to speak. James, we're just sorting it. We're switching it on. Thank you.
Okay, working. Yep. Thank you. Councillors, this is a pivotal moment in the story of our New Forest district. A moment when we present... A moment when the present is asking you to do the right thing to safeguard our future and the future of those who come after us. In just 2 weeks, this campaign has grown from nothing to over 14,500 signatures with paper copies here, more than 10,000 above your own consultation. This is a clear expression of public feeling, and we have 2 clear requests. First, we ask that this council seek a council's opinion from a qualified public law barrister to establish whether the government has acted outside of its own stated criteria in taking the decision to break apart our community. Second, we ask that the council explicitly state tonight that a judicial review is on the table as a serious option, should the legal advice identify grounds to challenge this decision in the High Court. I note that a council's opinion is now being sought, and we as a campaign welcome that. But it must be impartial, and it must not be constrained by any predetermined position. If a judicial review has, in effect, already been ruled out by the authority, then the advice you receive risks being shaped, consciously or otherwise, towards that outcome. That would not serve this council or the residents that you represent. In the Secretary of State's letter on the 25th of March, the decision is justified on the basis that it supports the economic growth of the cities. Councillors, this was not part of the government's publicised criteria, yet it is now presented as a central justification. In practice, what that means is giving cities room to expand. It places pressure on vital backup grazing land in the east, land that underpins commoning and sustains the wider ecosystem. Lose that and you do not just lose land, you risk undermining a way of life and the natural balance that it depends on. And yet at the same time the government claims this will improve services which its own criteria warned against in terms of fragmentation. So we ask, how does splitting the New Forest achieve that aim? How does it strengthen resilience and avoid fragmentation? These are reasonable questions to ask that have not been answered. The decision removes 37% of properties, 32% of council tax revenue, 54% of business rates and 40% of social housing stock from this district and hands it over to the grip of Southampton. The government's own guidance is clear. Districts should be the building blocks and boundary changes require strong justification as confirmed in a letter dated the 5th of February 2025 from the Minister to Sir Julian. This is about far more than administrative boundaries. The path currently imposed fractures ancient communities, threatens grazing land and places rural coastal communities under a far larger urban voting bloc. And we see the intent reflected in the public statements where city expansion is described as room to breathe and reassurance framed as making the process as unpainful as possible for those that, and I quote, become part of Southampton. Councillors, this is not partnership, it is imposition. The New Forest is not divisible, socially, culturally, historically or potentially legally. It should not be treated as if it were. Some may argue that pursuing legal advice in a potential judicial review will cost time and money, but the cost of not acting is far greater. And with respect, it is our money as ratepayers. And we are asking you to use it to protect our community, because process matters. If the process is flawed, it calls into question the legitimacy of the entire decision. A decision built on a flawed process is not one that can be relied upon. We are not alone in raising these concerns. Portsmouth City Council has indicated that it too is exploring Council's opinion. While their circumstances may differ, it demonstrates this is not an isolated issue. There is growing concern across the county that the government is not consistently applying its own criteria. What matters now is how this council keeps all options open. Before I close, briefly 2 points. This district is not the same as the national park. One is environmental, the other democratic. We are a cohesive community. Let us not fragment further. And while the flag has its place and we support that, now is not the time for symbolism. We do not need distractions, we need action. Councillors, you have a duty to act on behalf of those who elected you. Do not let the legacy of this council and your legacy be that when there was real opportunity to challenge this wretched decision, you chose not to act. Show strength, demonstrate leadership, have the courage to do what you know to be right. Keep the New Forest together. And to those supporting this campaign, whatever the outcome today, this is not the end, it is just the beginning. With immense pride in this 1,000-year-old community, I present this petition.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Members, the Council can now debate the petition for up to 30 minutes. A reminder that each individual member can speak for no more than 3 minutes. Councillor Cleary, as leader of the Council and the responsible portfolio holder for local government reorganisation, would you like to respond initially to this petition as the first speaker?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I firstly thank the lead petitioner, James and Emily Hartley-Binns, for attending the council meeting and presenting the petition. Can I also extend my thanks and welcome to all the members of the public who have joined the council this evening, whether you are in the chamber, the Bradbury room, or some outside. I hope the horse is okay. I would like to provide council members with the updated position of the preparatory work we, as a council, have already undertaken on this matter. In January 2026, we considered the potential need for council advice on all the options that government decided we were facing. As you all know, we, as a collective council, only wanted one option, and that was option 1, that kept the forest whole. This placed us with other like-minded authorities with a mainly rural view. We did ask Council to provide provisional advice on the boundary change option 1A, and in particular, whether the government had the legal power to choose such an option. Following that advice, we robustly questioned government in the Council's consultation response when we submitted in January. When we were informed by government that we had been given option 1A, apart from the initial shock and disbelief, how could they divide the forest this way? I asked our executive team to go back to Council to fully examine the legalities of the decision and advise us accordingly. We are now awaiting formal written advice. So to frame the Council's debate on the petition this evening, I would like to formally move that the Council notes the petition and that the Leader and the Cabinet will, in due course, carefully consider the petition and the updated advice when considering the appropriate next steps to best represent the interests of the forest through this process. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, would you like to second the motion?
Very pleased to do so, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now invite further speakers to this debate. Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, fellow councillors, members of the public and any press that are here, what is being done to the waterside in Totton is not being done for us. It is being done to us. However slim the chance of overturning the government's decision, we have a duty to stand up for our residents. After all, it would not be the first U-turn this government has made. It is therefore imperative that this council stands with its residents and takes this carve-up of the New Forest back to government. We entered the LGR process in good faith and submitted what many believe was the strongest proposal in Hampshire. Yet what has emerged can only be seen as a political decision, one that shows no understanding or respect for the unique character of the waterside and Totton. This area has been described as a jewel in the crown of the New Forest Council, the economic heart that sustains the wider district. If any of your jewels were stolen, you would pursue the thief. If part of your country were annexed, you would fight to retain it. That is no different to what has been happened to us here in the New Forest District. For generations, the waterside has been part of the New Forest. Our natural boundary is Southampton Water, not a line imposed upon us. Our identity, our heritage and our home are rooted in the New Forest, not in a city. A government that ignores local voices and fractures community is not building a united kingdom. Now is the time for communities here and across the country to take a stand. I love the New Forest. It is my home. As the only independent district councillor on the Waterside, I support New Forest Together, not as a political gesture, but as a clear stand for the people of the Waterside and Totton. I urge all New Forest residents and councillors to sign this petition and support every effort to defend our community. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Malcolm Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. And I must declare my interest now because I've signed the petition, published the petition, and I've encouraged others to sign the petition. Chairman, I am the middle generation of 3 generations that have served residents of Hythe and Dibden on this council and served the people of the New Forest. Hythe and Dibden is where the forest meets the sea. Hythe and Dibden, like the rest of the Waterside, is an integral part of the New Forest area, district, the New Forest. I am a New Forest resident, my family are New Forest residents, the people of Hythe and Dibden are New Forest residents. We believe we are all New Forest residents. Part of the LGR process, which seems to have been overlooked, certainly in this case, is about communities and how important they are. Well, clearly they've missed it out on this one, haven't they? Because the New Forest is a community. It's a diverse community. Ringwood to Tottenham is different, but we all share many, many similarities, and we are all New Forest people. I believe that what we should do is support the spirit and the action of this petition along the lines that the leader of the council has said. We do not roll over easily and allow this government to tell us what to do without saying, hang on a moment, this isn't right. We don't believe it's right, and we're going to tell them we don't believe it's right. What is really good about the petition is it sends such a strong message of what the people think. Now, I pride myself that I will stand up for the residents of Hythe and Dibden, and eventually we will end in a unitary in one form or another, but let's be realistic. Hopefully it is together. But I will stand up for those residents in that unitary, because what is important, and what this petition also says, we've got our own unique identity, our community's identity, our people's identity. And what we have to do is ensure that wherever we go, that identity remains the same. We are New Forest people. There is commoners living in the Waterside. The National Park is in the Waterside. There's bits of the National Park in Hythe and Dibden. We're all part of the New Forest. How the government can miss this cultural factor doesn't actually surprise me, to be honest, but it does surprise me in a number of respects. So we must show everybody we are together, we are united, and we stand together as the New Forest. And, Chairman, I will stand for the New Forest resident and for the New Forest and for the residents of Hythe and Dibden, and support the spirit, the meaning of this petition, and what the leader of this council is trying to do to take us forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Richards.
Thank you. I fundamentally disagree with this government's decision to split the New Forest, and I have also signed the petition. I think it's the wrong thing to do from a cultural and a historical point of view, but also on a practical level, it's going to create huge challenges. I speak for the residents of my ward in the far northwest of the district. During the consultation, I attended the meetings of 8 different parish councils and spoke to many people across the ward. They were overwhelmingly in favour of New Forest District Council's preferred option for the whole district to be part of a mid-Hampshire rural authority. They were also strongly opposed to the idea of being part of an authority dominated by Southampton. Concerns have been expressed to me by residents that if the government is forced to make a different decision that avoids splitting the forest, we may not end up with the outcome we're looking for. Instead, the whole of the district might end up being transferred to Southampton. We need to wait for the legal advice about whether or not there may be grounds for a judicial review, but we also need to be aware of the risks. Even if a legal challenge is successful, the new decision may not be the one that we want. This whole process has been completely undemocratic from start to finish. It has been forced on us by a government that did not even include local government reorganisation in its manifesto. We have been consulted, but our views have been ignored. This council must now stand up for its residents and fight to get the best possible outcome for everyone in the district.
Councillor Dunning.
Thank you, Chairman. Just trying to find my speech. Fellow councillors, ladies and gentlemen, we're standing at a crossroads. For nearly 1,000 years, the New Forest has been treated as one. But as of April 2028, a line is being drawn through our landscape. Our district is being carved up with the waterside from Totton Down to Fawley, set to be merged into a new urban authority with Southampton and Eastleigh. We are here today because we believe the forest is a single living heart that cannot beat if it is split in two. The greatest risk we face is being silenced. When we join a coastal powerhouse dominated by the needs of a major city and a sprawling borough like Eastleigh, where does that leave our quiet lanes and ancient grazing lands? We fear that the urban-centric priorities of the city, its infrastructure, its housing targets, will drown out the unique needs of our rural communities. We are not just an extension of Southampton suburbs, but we are the guardians of a national park. This isn't just about bin collections or council tax, it's about the very soul of the forest, the commoning system. The ancient rights to graze ponies and cattle is what keeps this land alive. By splitting our administration, we risk fragmenting the support systems that someone relies on, or that commoners rely on. How can we protect the landscape when its management is divided between two different councils with two different sets of priorities? We also have to be honest about the pressures for housing. By joining an urban authority, the waterside becomes a target for overflow development. We've seen the numbers, proposals for thousands of new homes that could forever change the character of our villages. We must ensure that being part of a new authority doesn't mean becoming a building site for this city's requirements. The government's decision is made, but our work is just beginning. We must demand that this new authority respects the forest boundaries. We must ensure that the transition to 2028 doesn't leave our heritage behind. Let us say loud, let us stay united. Let us make sure that even if the maps change, the integrity of the New Forest remains unbroken. Let's keep the forest whole in spirit, even if the spirit is on paper. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Paul.
I don't have any notes, Chairman, so I'll probably stutter a bit. But I would just say I think this has been a remarkable campaign that James and Emily have begun. It is really reminiscent to me of Dibden Bay, the strength of feeling in the community. And I was very young when that happened. But it was a really remarkable campaign. And the sheer speed in which you've moved is really impressive. And the public opinion is so strong on this that, you know, we must listen, we must understand the public feeling on it. And I would also say, really, truly, we've been saying this ever since we've lived this, ever since this awful LGR was announced. nearly every single council meeting it is an item of discussion. The leader is updating. I know how hard we worked as a council, and uniquely 48 of us all voted exactly the same way, which is, I can't ever think of another time where we wanted a rural option and all sticking together. And that hasn't changed. And obviously I would love for this whole LGR business to be binned because it's so unpopular. All credit to the campaign. Thank you.
Councillor Glass.
Thank you. I've been waiting a long time. I haven't got notes, but what I would like to say is James made an almost Churchillian speech, getting all the details, the facts and the figures correct. But I'm in a waterside ward. The thing I have been bothered with ever since the decision was brought out, I can't go to the shops without someone saying why. But when you look at it, the government came up with the rules, one at a time, kept us waiting and kept on changing them. But when they had all the rules they wanted, they ignored them. It's the least democratic thing that's ever happened to the forest. And as someone said, this was an old hunting forest since God knows when. It's a unit. Now, on the water side, we've got the pools that used to supply the fish to the Beaulieu the churches anyway. But it is a community that acts as parts and helps each other. We really must keep this community together, and I think the sooner we can act on this petition and we can sort it out and back it as hard as we can, the better. I'm all for keeping this area together. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Alex Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. Obviously, thanks to James and Emily, who also have jobs, who also have lives and have run a fantastic campaign. They've been exceptionally busy trying to find extra hours in the day. So I think credit for you for that. As the members of my ward, I have to highlight that. I won't repeat the other points, but I do want to highlight a key point that was made here about partnership. Now, wherever you end up in the future, come 2028, I believe we need to be an equal partner. By splitting the district, we become an unequal partner. We become a small part where we have to fight harder with smaller numbers across the waterside. And we might disagree on times, but the 48 people in this room live in the district. You understand your parishes, your villages, you understand what your communities stand for. And whenever you have to debate a decision, agree or disagree in these future authorities, you need to have an equal seat at the table. You need to be able to justify what you're standing up for. You need to push back against unpopular decisions, and you need to stack up for where you live. That is 10 times harder when there is a 10 or 12, whatever number it may be, against significant larger members from other authorities that we don't know. There is nothing wrong with being in a new unitary if you're an equal partner and you all get your say. Splitting the districts in both cases takes away your equal position. Winchester and East Hants have not been split. Test Valley and the New Forest have, and therefore they become unequal partners in whatever happens. And that is my concern. I could live with two of the options if I knew the New Forest had enough councillors behind it to say, hang on, we're here, you cannot get away with every unpopular decision. We have to stand up for our community. And it's about having that voice moving forward of whoever is elected and standing up for our communities, the areas of deprivation, the transport issues, the issues with the environment, because there is still some unconscious bias among the urban cities that we don't have these problems. We're all councillors, we're well aware that we do, with significant issues existing. So we need to have that equal place at the table. This motion, this petition highlights the important fact that splitting the district takes that away. And I credit the petition for that. The consultation was set up to be convoluted. It's always very difficult getting people to fill it in. And more people have shared this on my social media who never commented on anything to do with council, despite every effort we all make to share everything, some people who I've never spoken to about politics have shared this, and that's the strength of feeling. So I believe in us having a strong voice moving forward, which is why I support the proposal from the leader. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Heron.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I say I've been in this chamber for over 25 years and never before have I been so proud as to have my daughter sat there presenting this petition. And she obviously married well, because I'm equally as proud of my son-in-law sat next to her. Chairman, my daughter sits there, more than 7 generations forest born and bred, grandfather, great-grandfather, and going back beyond that, commoners of this forest. It is an abomination to suggest that within a short time she will end up living outside of the New Forest if this goes forward. We are the New Forest. We stand together, Waterside, east and west together. We are one unit, one Commonington, and that amalgamation is what holds the New Forest together and makes it a place, because without it, we fall apart. The backup grazing on the east of the New Forest is vital to support that commoning prospect. Without it, we will fall apart. Just look back, a few years back, when we had the great outbreak of foot and mouth in the district, and all those areas across that side of the forest support us, enabling us to take stock off the forest and maintain the forest and keep the disease from spreading. And this government is schizophrenic. Back in 2000, when they talked about a national park, they had an evaluation. The Environment Agency, their agency, evaluated the landscape, and they established that the landscape was suitable and for it to be within a national park right up to the water's edge, to Solent Water. Now, they're saying, oh, it should be an urban extension. They cannot have it both ways. They've clearly shown that actually this is entirely a political decision designed to enhance Southampton and has absolutely no merit as far as it comes with the people who reside in this area. And I'm delighted to see this petition come forward, which is going to raise the prospect and show people right across the area what's going forward. Long may it grow, may you get 3 times that number, 4 times, 100 times that number, and then let us take it to Westminster. Thank you.
Councillor Brand.
Thank you. I come at it with a slightly different stance in that I think we need to be aware it's not just New Forest District Council that's potentially changing, but what comes out of Hampshire. So to me, it has been raised, I work in a school with SEND children, and what's been raised to me is a lot of the SEND schools in the New Forest sit in the Waterside. So what will happen with the kids that are no longer part of that? Where will they go? Will those places go to kids in Southampton? What happens with the care homes that are in Waterside? Where will they be allocated? Will it all go to people from Southampton? So there are wider impacts that we aren't perhaps aware of, that we need to be aware of, that what does Hampshire provide to us and what will happen to that? And I just think, as I say, we need to be aware of that, think about it and use it in what we're doing with the legal people, because there are much bigger things here than housing and boundaries.
Thank you. Councillor McCarthy.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight, the public, and I thanks to the councillors and the Chair. They talk of efficiency, streamlining and strategic hubs. But let's call this what this really is. This is a takeover bid and it's a farce. From the Labour Prime Minister and his administration in Westminster, who continue to increase taxes and continue to ignore the voice of its people. The government continued to play the game by misleading the New Forest residents and its council for their own political gain and self-ego. The proposal to submerge the New Forest into Unity Authority dominated by Southampton and Winchester is not a plan for better services. It is a plan to dilute our voice and vanish our unique heritage into a suburban sprawl with bureaucracy that has been in existence for generations. It is the government's agenda to betray the residents of the New Forest. This is why we have to say no to splitting the New Forest and keeping it together. We don't want the status quo if it means stagnation, and we refuse to accept bigger is better. I could continue because it's the same as the rest of them along here, but the government, it does not understand the New Forest people and how it lives, works and breathes in this area. And let's all stand together and make it clear to the government that we stand together, and we will act now, and I support the proposal of Councillor Cleary also. Thank you.
Thank you. We only have a few minutes left, and I've tried to split it between the parties so that we all get a chance. But could I ask Councillor Elvey to speak now?
Thank you, Chairman. Well, as a resident and representative of the Fawley, Blackfield in the South Waterside, I fully support the aims of the petition. I have signed the petition. I don't want to repeat what everyone said. I agree with just about everything that's been said. But I'd like to just point out that during the consultation period, we did what we could to gather the views of residents in the South Waterside. We expressed them very clearly through the consultation. And of course, the government now has just shown that these views mean nothing to the government. They've completely ignored them. They have instead chosen to pursue a narrow partisan political path supporting the administration in Southampton. I believe we should take whatever actions we can to register our profound opposition to this reorganisation, partition, fracturing of the New Forest, and let the councillors on Southampton City Council know what we think of them, because it's a takeover by Southampton, and it's been supported by the government in Westminster. I fully support the leader and her motion, and I fully support the petition. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Murray.
Thank you. I'll try to be brief because I'm aware that we're running out of time. For me, this boils down to 2 points. The first one is the room to breathe that Southampton Council are now on record for saying. The forest is already smaller than it ever was. In my ward, Totton Central, the cattle grids were up to the Four Boys Junction. For anyone who knows Totton knows that. You think where the cattle grids are now, that ancient forest is already miles away. That's within the last 60, 70 years. Exactly, I agree. I worked in 2 SEND schools within Totton and the Waterside, and I'm now vitally concerned that as they move from Hampshire to a unitary body. I'm a 4th generation forester. I was christened at the 10th oldest church in the country, in Ealing. That church is 400 years older than the oldest building in Southampton. The foundations of it predate even the Saxons. That's the point that we need to make here, is that we are older and we are potentially wiser than something that we're going into. I think part of the reason that it brings that up for me is why do they think that we need them? We don't need them, they need us. We don't want to be part of a bankrupt council. We don't want to be part of a council that U-turns every 5 minutes on bus lanes and 20-mile-an-hour limits and bin routes and cycle routes and has hours and hours and hours of binmen striking, energy schemes, the port going on strike. We don't want to be a part of any of that. And the second point that this comes really, I was sat in this chair actually. I remember at the beginning of this process looking up to the leader and her expressing that we were told that the Boundary Commission were not to be involved. We were not to hear of the splitting of wards, the changing of boundaries, because that's not what the government wanted. No Boundary Commission, no Electoral Commission, and here we are listening to it. So I fully support the leader's motion, thank you, Jim, and I fully support this campaign. I think it's fantastic, and I think we should be getting on board. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'd first like to thank our residents across the district who have taken the time to sign the petition, and to those who have come across this evening, who join us in the chamber, and for those outside. The response to the petition mirrors the response to the formal consultation when our residents spoke with a very, very clear voice, saying that if there was to be a change to a unitary authority, it should not split the forest, nor should it seek to combine us with a more urban authority. And now, having learned of the decision made by the Minister, it's clear that those voices were regrettably ignored. So a couple of points I wish to make which I don't believe have been made before. First of all, in terms of process, and speaking as one of the ward members from the West, a lot of the concern seems to be from the east, but this does affect the west of the area as well. There is a significant share of employment areas and economic activity in the eastern side, and that area provides a significant part of the joint financial strength of the district. And removing that upsets the balance of our district. The district works as a whole, and cutting it apart damages both parts. I'm also concerned about the practical impact of how the decision can be implemented. So our officers and staff already have a full-time role delivering for our residents. Managing the transition of one complex organisation, NFDC, into a new structure would already be a significant undertaking, but managing two of those processes at the same time, I do not believe will pass the doability test, and that's without considering the personal impact on our staff. So I am very happy to support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor England.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Coming from Lymington, we also used to have horses there before the cattle grids came. I represent Boulder as a parish council. I would hate us in our locality to be facing what you're facing on the waterside. It should not be happening. It's a government decision, we know. Consultations are written for a reason, for the right result that they want to hear at the end of the day. Democracy that has come through this chamber with all members in here speaking passionately from whatever colour and party they are, have actually voted unanimously to support the leader and the consensus that we do not want to be broken up, fragmented, dissolved in any other way. We have a strength the way we are, not with being hived off for an economic gain for another authority or unitary. This should be really vigorously fought, and I thank you very much for bringing it to the chamber. Thank you.
Councillor Rackham, seconds, please.
Okay. So I also would like to support the people that have been organising this petition. I think it's a fantastic idea. I don't know whether to view this decision with great sadness or as madness. It's insane. Particularly for Totton and the waterside, Totton will be right next to 100 yards. We will have neighbours in different unitary authorities. It's not right. It's poorly considered. And I really do feel that it's been considered for big business and not for residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cherry, would you like to finish off quickly, please?
Thank you, Chairman. I think we need to recognise that this is probably the most important council meeting which any of us have ever attended. It is a significant meeting, and it brings together every single member of this council with one accord. I recognise the fact that Sir Julian is with us this evening. He will have listened carefully to what has been said and is in a position to transfer this back to those who need to know. I have only got 5 words to say to the Minister. Just 5 words. And it is simply this: leave the New Forest alone. Leave the New Forest alone. Now everybody, repeat it after me, all of you. Leave the New Forest alone. Let that message go not only to Whitehall, but right the way through to 10 Downing Street. Upset the Prime Minister. What is our slogan? Leave the New Forest alone.
Thank you very much. That's very good. I would like to invite the seconder, Councillor Davis, to speak. If not, you haven't done so, have you?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Well, what can I say, really? Is that my compliments, of course, to James and Emily. Superb work you've done there, your achievements. What you've shown is that community matters more than politics. And I think that's so important. A remarkable achievement. But we are joined, once again, 48 of us are joined in one voice, all together. And that must be a very, very powerful message to give to any Member of Parliament, or specifically any minister in Parliament, even a minister that doesn't want to answer questions, I noticed, Sir Julian. I will go on about the impact of housing. Obviously, I'm a housing portfolio holder. 2,000 plus tenants are at risk from the Waterside and Tottenham. I could talk about the outrageous cost of partition, which is what we're talking about here. And that will impact every corner of this district council. No one will avoid any additional costs. So I won't say any more than that, Chairman, because it's all been said, and I'll only get wound up anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cleary, would you like to respond to the debate?
Thank you, everyone, for sharing the passion of the forest. I absolutely bawled my eyes out when this decision came. It was very hard, and I share your frustration, your hatred of this decision, because you can't hate it more than I do. When we were actually given the decision over the Teams meeting from Whitehall government, Kate and I just sat there and we couldn't believe it. We could not believe it. So thank you, James and Emily, for bringing this out into the public domain more than we can. Thank you to all of you for your passionate speaking. Let's move forward. Let's hope you get 1,000 signatures and we walk on Whitehall or whatever it takes, deliver it on the doorstep of number 10, depending who's there, of course, because hopefully it won't be the same person at the moment. And let's move forward. Let's wait and see what Council comes back with as to whether we can challenge it, how we can challenge it. But also, I would like to thank you, Julian. Everything you have done to support us in the chamber has not gone unrecognised. You have been absolutely fantastic. Thank you. So, please stand up, show our communities we are ready for this, and let's support the motion and all work together. All 48 of us. Thank you. Come on.
Yes, we will take a vote on this. The officer.
Yes, Chairman, thank you. Unfortunately, we've got a problem with our electronic voting at the moment, so we're going to do this the old-fashioned way with a show of hands, if that's okay, members. So apologies for that. Just a reminder, the Leader's motion was the Council notes the petition and that the Leader and Cabinet will in due course carefully consider the petition and the updated advice when considering the appropriate next steps to best represent the interests of the forest through this process. So the Leader has moved that, seconded by Councillor Steve Davis. Can all those in favour please show their hands? Any against? I think that's unanimous. There you go, Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. That is unanimous. Thank you. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I can thank the petitioners for attending, and if you wish to carry on and view the rest of the ceremony, by all means do. But that's it, finished. We're going on to normal council business now.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now go on to agenda item 6, Report of Cabinet, 4th of March 2026. Members, dealing first with part 1, I will call each item to see if any member wishes to speak on those matters resolved by Cabinet. Item 1, Domestic Abuse Strategy 2025-2026. Are there any speakers? Councillor Wade.
Obviously, I fully welcome this strategy and the important work that it provides. It's completely understandable considering the nature of who this is about. There was a low consultation feedback. By the very nature, there will be people who will be certainly wary of filling in the questionnaire or not even be able to have the access for the tools to do so. But it is an important issue that covers all over our district, unfortunately. I just wanted to ask about the point about variety of ways of highlighting how people can make contact. It says through partnership and public conveniences. Could that include maybe even the leisure centres, which could be a well-utilised location for some people? It was just a point. It might already be considered, but I just wanted to ask that question. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Paul, would you like to respond?
I think it's a really good point and noted, and I'll report back.
Thank you. We will go to item 2, Housing Landlord Antisocial Behaviour, ASB Strategy. Are there any speakers? Thank you. Moving on to item 3, Draft Revised Allocations Policy. Are there any speakers? Councillor Wade.
While this is about this policy, it's probably about a lot of policies in regard to housing. I'm guessing through all our work with LGR, effectively this policy is up to a fixed period of time, and then there is no guarantee. And I suppose it's a question for in the future, in the process, how many of our policies will be allowed to carry over from the starting point, or is there a fixed ending on any revised policies come vesting day, really? Because obviously it's an important policy, but it's going to last for about no more than 2 years, is it not?
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, do you wish to respond?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Another good point. I think obviously something we're going to take on board, something we take with us to the new unitary authority, as far as I'm concerned. We're building strong foundations here, so I'll definitely come back to you on that.
Thank you. We're moving on to item 4, Draft Homelessness and Rough Sleeping Strategy 2026 to 2031. Are there any speakers? None. Thank you. There were no items under Part 2 for Council decision, and therefore that is the end of this item. Moving on to agenda item 7, Report of Cabinet, 1st of April 2026. Members, dealing first with the Part 1, I will call each item to see if any member wishes to speak on those matters resolved by Cabinet. Item 1, Corporate Plan, Key Performance Data for Quarter 3, 2025-2026. Any speakers? None. Thank you. Item 2, Public Space Protection Order, PSPO, Extension Review and Summary of Public Consultation. Any speakers? None. Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Councillor Miller.
Thank you. Yes, I did just want to say these are excellent, and I think probably one of the easier decisions this chamber makes is to support their continuation. The one thing that I think came out in the discussion, but I'd be interested in, is how we educate people that they exist, particularly visitors to the forest. I know I get a lot of people saying that they feel they have to police this for the forest, so residents have to police this, and that can be awkward. So with confronting tourists about these infringements to these rules. So I just wanted to ask for all capability in terms of advertising these and making sure that tourists in particular are aware that these rules exist. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Paul, would you wish to respond?
Yeah, it's actually, the PSPOs actually help facilitate these conversations. They give the authority to those who are upholding them to have the discussions. As we've sort of consistently said, it's all about education and awareness. We don't really want to persecute people. Quite often people don't even know they're doing something wrong. So we're just trying to educate, raise awareness, and I think we've decided we're going to obviously improve the signage this time. But the fact that we're having to renew this and this whole discussion is going on is also really helping with the awareness.
Thank you. Members, moving now to part 2, I will call the relevant Cabinet members in turn to move the recommendations for Council. Item 3, Principal Risk Register Review. Councillor Cleary, will you introduce this item and the recommendation from Cabinet that the Principal Risk Register be adopted by Council?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are you okay? Do you need some water? Oh. Okay. Sorry. Yes, please, let's move the Principal Risk Register be adopted by Council. I think it's a very comprehensive report listing all of the risks that we do face. Thank you.
Councillor Davis, will you second?
Happy to second, Chairman.
Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers? Councillor Wade.
Chairman, this register has a lot of red and amber, but we're going through a very unusual situation with LGR and that. The point I wanted to make really is that while we have this risk register, as we progress down the LGR voyage, if I may use that term, we're probably going to need to review this quite often, and it will change because there will be new risks that as yet unidentified resource issues will bring to the fore. I just wanted to make that point, that this needs to be a flexible document that we can that we can maintain and with current issues as they come and arise as we progress in LGR, Chairman, such as it is, unfortunately.
Councillor Cleary, would you wish to respond to that speaker?
Yes, fully. Doubt Audit Committee.
Thank you. The static electricity has left the chamber, so now it looks like we can go to an electronic vote on this.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Shortly sending the vote to members on the adoption of the Principal Risk Register. Hopefully it works. The options for, against, the alternative to abstain. And that result's now with you, Chairman.
Thank you. It's carried. Right, we go to agenda item 8, questions. Members, there are 8 questions. A reminder, we have a total of 30 minutes for this item, 30 minutes only. Any member asking a question who is not in attendance will have their question dealt with in writing, as will any question falling outside the 30 minutes. Each question shall be put and answered without discussion. Each reply should be no longer than 3 minutes. I will invite each member who has asked a question, if they have one supplementary question arising from the answer, which should be dealt with in a maximum of 2 minutes. First question from Councillor Barry Dunning to the portfolio holder for Community Safety and Wellbeing, Councillor Dan Poole.
Thank you, Chairman. I was very concerned that Lymington and Pennington Town Council have recklessly chosen to stop paying their annual contribution towards public CCTV provision for the town. Can the portfolio holder please update on the value of the CCTV service for towns and parishes and advise of the outcome if the towns and parishes refuse to pay their contributions?
Thank you. Councillor Poole.
Thank you for your question. Members will be aware that a key priority for this administration was to enhance the CCTV provision for the district for the benefit of residents and communities. CCTV is an essential tool in support for the district's community safety partnership and our combined efforts to reduce and tackle crime. An important element of this 44 camera expansion plan was the partnerships with many town and parish councils across the district, working together to position new cameras in the locations where they would have the most impact. This council supported the project with a capital budget of up to £300,000, whilst requesting a nominal contribution from town and parish councils towards the annual running costs of provision in their communities. It is therefore extremely disappointing to hear that Lymington and Pennington Town Council have taken the decision to end their support for the scheme in what quite frankly appears to be a redirection of funds to address Christmas lights. As you would expect, this is leading us to review camera provision in the area.
Thank you. We'll move to question 2 from Councillor Cowlan Rackham to the portfolio holder. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, is there a... Thank you. We're moving to question 2 from Councillor Karen Rackham to the portfolio holder for housing and homelessness, Councillor Steve Davis.
Thank you. What impact will the new tenancy laws have on our tenants and on NFDC as a council?
Thank you, Councillor Davis.
Yep, thank you for your question. In terms of council tenants, not a lot. The changes will have little impact as the reforms are designed to improve the housing standards for private sector tenancies. The Renters' Rights Act represents the largest reform of private rented sector in a generation. You probably know that. It significantly strengthens the private sector tenant protections while placing new responsibilities on NFDC housing options and our private sector housing teams. In my view, this act should reduce the incidence of homelessness caused by the premature ending of tenancies. And this will reduce the demand on our housing options team and will give our private sector housing team additional guidance. That's my opinion. A full member briefing, though, will be held on Teams on Thursday the 23rd next week at 6 p.m, which will provide far more detail about the subtleties behind it all.
Thank you. Councillor Rackham, do you have a supplementary?
So my question was really because a lot of our people who are homeless are sent to private tenants. So I know I've had this several times that people have come to me because they can't actually afford to go to the private landlords, I'm sorry. So that was really what was behind my question. I wonder how many people that will now affect, how many people are being sent from, sent to private landlords to find homes.
Councillor Davis.
Yeah, I think I don't know the answer, to be perfectly honest with you, in terms of numbers. What I do know is that we've increased the number of temporary accommodations, particularly recently, of course, in Totton, which will mean that anyone that's at the risk of being homeless or made homeless can go into a TA unit rather than having to be found accommodation elsewhere. But our housing team, our housing tenant options team will help with settle people in to whatever we can find, basically. But what we're trying to do is avoid bed and breakfast wherever we can, because that affects our general fund. But basically, we do what we can with our housing options, utilising what we've got left out of temporary accommodation. I think that's about all I can give you right now.
Thank you. We'll move to question 3 from Councillor Mark Clark to the Leader of the Council, Councillor Jill Cleary.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. What specific financial protections did the New Forest District Council seek for waterside residents during negotiations, during LGR, and which of these were rejected or lost as a result of the disagreement with the County Council during the competing bids?
Thank you, Councillor Cleary.
Thank you for your question. The process of submitting proposals for local government reorganisation does not include provision for financial protections or negotiations. All 4 business cases were submitted by their respective council backers with financial projections which met government criteria.
Thank you. Is there supplementary?
There is, but it's quite complicated, so I shall write to the Leader.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We go to question 4 then, from Councillor Philip Day to the Leader, birthday boy, from the Leader of the Council, Councillor Jill Cleary.
Oh dear, oh dear. How will NFDC ensure that assets, reserves and historic investment built up by New Forest residents are fairly transferred and not diluted, given the outcome of this divided approach? LGR yet again. Thank you.
Councillor Cleary.
Can I build a moat with barbed wire and have a garden on? The approach to disaggregating the Council's assets, reserves and investments will be overseen by the Joint Committee and ultimately agreed by the Shadow Authority, both of which will have New Forest representation. This is going to be a very difficult and complex process, and what works as a sensible apportionment in one area is not necessarily going to work for another. We must remember that existing county council is being split 4 ways, and other district and borough councils also have disaggregation to contend with. So this doesn't come as a completely unique task only affecting this council. There will clearly need to be a shared purpose of ensuring the allocations into the new unitary authorities is fair and equitable. And remember, we will have a voice on both joint authorities.
Thank you. Councillor Dare, a supplementary?
No, thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Moving on to question 5 from Councillor David Harrison to the portfolio holder for Community, Safety and Wellbeing, Councillor Dan Paul.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I just apologise for my lack of a name tag? I can only assume it's souvenir collectors. I've got to flatter myself because no one else would do it.
Councillor Unknown, can we have the question, please?
Of course you can, Chairman. Given the growing evidence that lithium-ion batteries in vape products present a significant and sometimes explosive fire risk, particularly where large quantities are stored, what specific measures is New Forest District Council taking to regulate vape shops in our town centres, including fire risk assessments, storage controls and enforcement against non-compliant or unregistered operators?
Thank you. Councillor Paul?
I would address you directly, but I can't identify you. There is currently no licensing requirement for the retail sale of tobacco, vapes or other nicotine products. Any health and safety concerns arising at these premises are investigated by the Food Safety Team, while matters relating specifically to fire safety would be referred to Hampshire Fire and Rescue Service. There is a tobacco and vapes bill going through Parliament currently with an expected implementation date of the 1st of January 2027. Whilst the predominant reason for this legislation is to reduce rising youth vaping and continued high smoking-related harm, it is proposed for those selling relevant products to hold a personal and premises licence. However, further details around the licensing regime and the enforcing agency are still to be determined.
Thank you. Councillor Harrison, a supplementary?
I wouldn't miss the chance, Chairman. I suspect that our portfolio holder for community safety was as shocked as I was at the sight of Glasgow town centre with that massive fire. I would hate to think that we get something similar happening anywhere in our New Forest towns. And I think this is an example of where it's so important, I'm sure he'll agree with me, that we liaise very closely with our fire service colleagues and try and make sure that the risk isn't repeated here.
I agree.
Thank you. Moving to question 6, from Councillor Jack Davis to the portfolio holder for Planning and Economy, Councillor Derek Tipp.
Thank you. I have been supporting a group of local residents in Lymington and Pennington to test the Lymington River for E. coli. Together, we held Southern Water to account after they initially ignored the test results, leading to the discovery and repair of illegal sewer connections at Brunswick Place in the community centre. Given that these illegal connections date back decades, residents are understandably concerned about the potential for further undiscovered issues across Lymington and Pennington. Can the portfolio holder confirm what specific steps are being taken within the planning department to ensure that new developments are strictly monitored for compliance, and whether the officers have received updated training to identify and prevent misconnections that threaten our local environment?
Thank you. Councillor Tipp?
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you, Councillor Davies. Any illegal activity obviously is of great concern. This is the equivalent of sort of fly tipping on land, really, and though harder to see because it can go unnoticed. The public should report any suspicious sewage pipes to their local councillor, who can then check it out. I think that's the first point I make. At the planning application stage, the council's role is to ensure that proposed developments include suitable and policy-compliant foul and surface water drainage strategies, with advice taken from statutory bodies such as Southern Water and the County Council as the lead local flood authority. Appropriate planning conditions are imposed where necessary to secure approved drainage arrangements prior to occupation. However, once planning permission is granted, the planning authority's role in the process is more limited. The detailed design, installation, connection, maintenance, and adoption of drainage infrastructure can be checked, but delivery is the responsibility of the developer and the relevant statutory body, with separate approval processes operating under the water industry regimes to ensure that the water quality is at the appropriate safe standard.
Thank you. Councillor Davis, a supplementary?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Tipp, for your response. Residents have raised concerns about the hundreds of new homes that are going to be built in Pennington over the next few years. How can the District Council reassure them that the sewage system is up to standard and we won't be having more issues of sewage flooding into people's gardens or flooding into our river?
Thank you. Councillor Tipp.
Well, as I say, it's the responsibility of the Southern Water or the Flood Authority, not the responsibility of the District Council, to look at this issue in the longer term. Obviously, you know, our sewage system is old, and when we put lots of new houses on, it's not going to make it any better. But it is where it is, and everybody's got to be vigilant. I mean, in my area, for instance, there's plenty of backwashing of sewage when we get heavy rainfall and so on, and people do connect things wrongly. We can only be vigilant and do our best. There's no magic bullet.
Thank you. Moving on to question 7 from Councillor Phil Woods to the portfolio holder for Environment and Sustainability, Councillor Jeff Blunden.
Thank you, Chairman. Given the growing concern among residents in Fordingbridge about the visible decline in street cleanliness, including the build-up of debris, weeds on pavements and a general deterioration in the appearance of public areas, can the portfolio holder confirm what the current service standards are for town centre street cleaning, how frequently Fordingbridge is scheduled for cleaning, and whether these standards are currently being met?
Thank you. Councillor Blunden.
Thank you, Councillor Woods, for that question. Our hard-working street scene team aim to visit daily to carry out general waste bin servicing in the town centre area. Remaining areas will have an individual set frequency depending on need. Hampshire County Council fund a single annual weed control application for adopted highways within New Forest District, with the contract window with the aim of completing the work between April to October. However, we aim to deliver town centre treatment within the first few months of the contract. Regarding sweeping, there are 2 areas of work. Town centres, which is just the high street and shopping area, we would aim to sweep that on a fortnightly rotation. Other areas quarterly, with a note that from late September to, say, January time, we will prioritise tree-lined streets. I would add, if you have a specific location or a specific area in mind, I'd be happy to take that away and come back to you.
Do you have a...
I do.
Councillor Woods, do you have a supplementary?
Thank you for that response. In light of the growing ongoing concerns by the residents, will the Council now commit to reviewing the effectiveness of its cleaning regime in Fordingbridge, including consideration of increased cleaning frequency, improved weed control and clear accountability to ensure the town centre reflects the standards our communities expect?
Councillor Blandon.
Thank you. Just picking up on the weed control. As I say, that is we have a contract with the Hampshire County Council as a highway authority, and we carry out that work on their behalf. So it's up to them to actually come back on that. As I said, referring to my last item, my last section, I said if you have a specific area within Fordingbridge, I'd be happy to look at that and come back to you.
Thank you. We've got to question 8. Thank you for the timing. From Councillor Alex Wade to the portfolio holder for planning and economy, Councillor Derek Tipp.
Thank you, Chairman. It's been now reported publicly that the proposed development by Churchill Homes on the former police station site in Hythe will now be decided by a planning inspector. And NFDC planning members won't be given an opportunity to debate on this site of significant local interest. What efforts are being made by the Council to ensure this is accessible to the public, deeply concerned about the plans, and despite the cost and time required, will officers be intending to engage with the process on behalf of the residents who did raise significant concerns about the proposals?
Thank you. Councillor Tipp.
You're quite right, Councillor Wade, that an appeal against the non-determination of the application for the redevelopment of the former Hythe police station has been made to the Planning Inspectorate. And a government-appointed planning inspector will now determine the application. The Council is currently awaiting confirmation of the timetable and the formal start of the appeal by the Planning Inspectorate, at which time the Council will notify those who have made representations on the case to advise of the dates, times and venue for the inquiry. All representations already received will also be sent to the Inspector, so they will have all the public comments to review. The public normally have an opportunity individually to address the Inspector when the appeal opens. In addition, local residents could come together as a group to take part in the inquiry in what is known as being a Rule 6 party, which allows residents to present formal evidence. Given officers do not consider they would have been able to support this application, they will engage fully in the process to articulate the precise reasons that would have led to a recommendation of refusal, had this council been able to make a decision on the application. Officers will be appointing specialists where necessary and leading counsel to help defend the appeal and ensure that the case put to the inspector is as robust and strong as it can be.
Thank you. Councillor Wade, a supplementary?
Just to say I appreciate the response. No supplementary. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Moving on to agenda item 9, notice of motion. Members, Councillor Thierry has withdrawn his motion to council. We can therefore move on to the next agenda item 10, allocation of seats and appointments to committees and panels. We will now consider the report and appendices detailing the proposed allocation of seats and appointments to committees and panels. Councillor Cleary, would you like to present this report and its recommendations, including the proposed allocations table circulated with a supplementary council agenda at Appendix 1, and the names of the individual councillors to be appointed to committees and panels at Appendix 2?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hope you don't expect me to read out every single panel and every single name. We'll be here all night. Right, you will see by Appendix 1 where we've lost seats, gained seats, because we now don't, as a Conservative group, have overall control. Yes, I know, but let's work with it. And you will see Appendix 2 that details all the names under which political party you are. So I think you will all be happy There's seats being allocated that weren't allocated before, and I know I probably have actually made Malcolm Wade's day by allowing 3 Lib Dems on the HR committee.
Well.
So, I would like to move the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, will you second?
Happy to second, thank you.
Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers? None? Oh, thank you.
Chairman, I'm so pleased the leader has made my day in that manner.
Thank you. Right, so... Right, we'll go straight to this. Members, we will now go to the vote on the recommendation to consider the allocation of seats to committees and panels and appointment of councillors to individual committees and panels. There will be an electronic vote.
Thank you, Chairman. Shortly sending the vote to members. That's in considering the allocation of seats to the groups, to agree the allocation in Appendix 1 and the appointment of individual councillors in Appendix 2. The options for, against, the alternative being to abstain. I'm just sending the result to you, Chairman, now.
Thank you. That result is carried. Right, moving on to agenda item 11, nominations to the offices of Chairman and Vice Chairman. Members, I will first call upon the relevant members to move and second the 2 nominations for Chairman of the Council. Our first move that Councillor Dave Penny be the Council's nomination for the office of Chairman of the Council for 2026-27. Dave has been a great support to me in my year as Chairman, and I know that he'll make a fantastic Chairman for the next year. Councillor Tibb, I understand that you wish to second that nomination.
I do.
Thank you. Councillor Malcolm Wade, I understand you wish to move that Councillor Jack Davis be the Council's nomination for the office of Chairman of the Council for 26-27.
I do, Chairman. Do you want me to give you all the reasons why now or later? Serious question.
You certainly can speak there if you wish to.
Chairman, members, what is the one thing we can't do? It's get enough young people interested in politics. Here we have the opportunity to have a chairman who is under 40. Not that young, you might say, but a lot younger. If we want to inspire younger people into take an interest in politics and go to it, we should see they can aspire to the position of chairman of the council by somebody who is one of the youngest councillors in this chamber. The old borough of Lymington had mayors. We have here a man with mayoral experience, which is something probably no one else in this room has got. There are reasons. I said probably. Probably, but not in the oldest borough of Lymington except possibly Barry. But the point is, seriously, we are trying to get more younger people into politics. We know that Jack is a more than capable individual to take on the role of chairman, and this will be showing an example to that wider public that this council, sad that it's not there for much longer, but it's going to be innovative, and we're sending another message that we want the young to be engaged in the political system, and we will put one of our youngest members up as chairman. Chairman, members, vote for Jack.
Councillor McCarthy, I understand that you wish to second that nomination.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And yeah, I'd like to second that motion, but I'd also like to express my opinion on that view, if that's okay.
By all means.
Yes, I mean, everybody else does around here, so I'm sure that they wouldn't mind listening. I mean, Jack has shown his commitment and his support throughout his career as a councillor, when it all began from a lucky dip out of a Tesco lucky bag. Councillor Davies has been on a number of committees and chairperson of a number of local town council committees where his knowledge of policies and procedures are vital when hard decisions have to be made, and he's not afraid to stand firm and scrutinise decisions that need to be questioned. His knowledge and ambition to do what is right shines through. This I have seen firsthand when I get phone calls and texts from him all hours of days and nights. He lives, breathes and sleeps with his phone by his side in case someone is in need. He continues to strive for positive results on behalf of his local community and the New Forest residents, and this can be seen in the recent neighbourhood plan, which the Town Council was successful in their recent neighbourhood bid, with Jack was chairperson. Like him or loathe him, he gets results. He continues to speak out for those who cannot, and without any consequences towards what is to come for himself, which this shows he is not afraid to stand up for those who need the support when it matters. Therefore, I am happy to second this motion for Jack as chairperson.
Thank you. Does any member wish to speak in support of either of the two nominations? Councillor Wade.
Thanks for that. Yesterday I turned 41, which I think is quite old, but in this room it isn't. I haven't worked out Dan Paul's age, so I'm either the third or fourth youngest councillor on here, and I actually think it's for a district that is as diverse as us, we do not have enough representation. Well, there's only 8 female councillors. The average age of the councillor does not reflect the people who we represent. And as important and as brilliantly speaking as we've all done tonight on an important matter, I do think representation matters. And I do know that councils all over the country, I think Southampton has done it, Bradford's done it, where they've gone with a younger chairperson who's represented that council. And remember, this isn't a decision-making role, it's not a political role, and you know what? He won't get to have much of a say because he'll be up there. So I think you're missing an opportunity there. So he is going to be up at the top decision. So I think to look to everyone out there who thinks, only 35% of people vote in local elections, and to see someone who looks like them and goes, actually, it isn't job for the older or retired, actually different people can be in that role. I think it sends an important messages. He did a very good job standing up for the really Lymington and Pennington. He stood up for both sides of that important town as the parish chairman. He spoke up for all areas from the rural to the areas of deprivation of Pennington. He's proud of both of them, and actually Jack he's a strong-minded person. He stands up for the area, and even when he might have a lot of people disagreeing with him, he will stick to his ground, and I think he'll represent this council proudly and rightly well. So that's why I echo Jack, and good luck.
Thank you. Members, this is a contested position.
Sorry, Councillor Thierry.
Oh, sorry, excuse me, Councillor Thierry.
Thank you, Chairman. In the interest of the sensible, onward-going workings of this council, I believe it would be in all our interests to vote for Jack to be chairman. It would mean that he could no longer take part in any debate, and that alone must be meritorious in respect of his nomination to be chairman. Just think, a silent meeting with Jack only saying, councillor, councillor, councillor. Vote for Jack if you want peace and quiet in the chamber.
Thank you, Councillor Thierry. Members, again, this is a contested position. I will now ask officers to arrange the required secret ballot. The ballot papers will now be distributed.
Members, if I could just say, please clearly mark against the name of the nomination you wish to support and fold your ballot paper in half ready for collection after you've done that.
Councillors, the result of the ballot, 28 for Councillor Penny, 14 for Councillor Davis. So Councillor Penny has the vote. Members, I will now call upon the relevant members to move the second of the two nominations for Vice Chairman of the Council. Councillor Cleary, I understand you wish to move that Councillor Rickman, I knew I'd get that wrong at the meeting. You got Rickman and Rackham. Rickman be the Council's nomination for the office of Vice Chairman for the Council for 2026-27.
Thank you, yes I do. And just to be sure, it is Councillor Barry Rickman.
Right. Councillor Frampton, I understand that you wish to second this nomination.
I take great pleasure in seconding this nomination, and as we have spent tonight saying how important it is for foresters to be at the forefront of our leadership and our council, you could not get more of a local forester than Barry Rickman.
Councillor Mark Clark, I understand you wish to move that Councillor Rackham be the Council's nomination for the office of Vice Chairman of the Council for 26-27.
I do, Mr. Chairman, thank you. It is a privilege to propose Caroline as Vice Chair of the New Forest District Council for the coming civic year. Caroline brings three qualities that matter for the role: leadership, delivery and judgment. As leader of Tottenham and Ealing Town Council, the largest town in the New Forest, she's demonstrated what effective local leadership looks like in practice. Not theory, not aspiration, but delivery. Under her leadership, the town has established a successful monthly market. It's invested in its park with new play facilities and performance space, and is actively developing wildlife corridors, projects that improve daily life while strengthening the long-term fabric of the community. She's also shown the ability to think strategically and act collaboratively, whether leading the town's neighbourhood plan, bringing organisations together for the Town of Culture bid, or campaigning to protect Bartley Water. Caroline consistently works across boundaries to get things done. Her governance credentials are equally strong. She chairs the Planning Committee, she leads the Council, and she chairs the Local Access Forum for the New Forest National Park. That breadth matters. It means she understands both the detail and the bigger picture, and how to navigate between them. But there is a wider point the Council should not ignore. We have not had a female chair of this Council since 2017, and the very valiant Council, Christine Ward, who is here. So that's nearly a decade. In that time, our communities have not stood still, and neither should our representation. Appointing Caroline as Vice Chair is not about symbolism over substance, it's about recognising substance and ensuring our civic leadership reflects the communities we serve. Caroline is experienced, capable and already operating at this level the role demands. She brings credibility, calm authority and a track record of delivery. I commend her to the Council, but in one other reason. The next year will be fraught with difficulty over LGR. The water side is feeling threatened. Caroline represents the water side. Thank you.
Miller, I understand you wish to second that nomination.
Thank you, I will. I'm very pleased to second Caroline Rackham as Vice Chair to this Council. As well as being an experienced District Councillor, Caroline's also leader of Tottenham and Ealing Town Council, largest town in the New Forest, and also serves on the New Forest National Park Authority, and that gives her a strong understanding of the district from different perspectives. Caroline has significant chairing experience, including the Local Access Forum for the National Park and the Planning Committee at Tottenham and Ealing. But Caroline is also someone who strongly believes that this council chamber works best when we work together for the benefit of our residents. And as such, not only do I believe that she has the skills and experience to carry out the role of Vice Chair, but her appointment would also reflect a new era of cooperation, which seems appropriate, given that there is now no party who carry a full majority of the chamber. Thank you.
Thank you. Does any member wish to speak in support of either of the two nominations? Councillor Poole.
I would like to speak on behalf of Councillor Barry Rickman, who I believe first came to this council as far back as 1982. And I think it'd be very fitting that he is our last chairman, having had such a long and distinguished career on this council.
Thank you. Councillor Alex Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. This has always been and should be an apolitical role. And in many councils, it doesn't matter your political allegiance. Yet in all my time since 2015 being elected, it's only ever gone to the ruling group and not necessarily to a long-serving councillor. That's why I think it will be a good message to send in the final year to have a non-ruling group chair in charge to show actually that the role is not political. It's about someone who represents the council at important events and the values of the New Forest, someone who values the environment, arts and culture, the heritage of the area and understands her local community. I won't repeat the excellent points made by Councillors Miller and Clark, but I think it's the principle of it being a unpolitical role. It's definitely taken that in councils all over the country, and I've never understood why we don't do it here in the New Forest. So I think it'd be a great message to end on a high and offer it to someone who isn't from the ruling group. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jack Davis.
Thank you. I wish to echo the comments made by Councillor Wade. Not only have I known Councillor Rackham for many years, but I think she would be a fantastic vice chair. And the important thing here to note is that it will be just a vice chair. I think we've got to be mindful of the political changes that have taken place and are going to take place over the next couple of years or over the next year. Certainly we should have, as far as possible, consensus across that. And I think it would be really important for us to have a chair from one group and the vice chair from the second largest group. And I think it would be really important to have that collaboration because I think we'll need it going forward. And so I'd like to commend Caroline Rackham as Vice Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Alan Glass.
Thank you. I'd like to support Barry Rickman. I've been on this council a heck of a long time, since my hair was black. But when I joined the council, Barry was leader of the council. He's got more experience than everyone in this room, as far as I'm aware. What we need now, as we are gradually winding this council down and going to this crazy new idea, is someone who knows the history, who lives right in the middle of the New Forest, and he's got the experience of dealing with this over all these years. It's not a political thing, it's purely knowledge, experience, and way of handling things. I'd like to support that.
Thank you. Councillor Malcolm Wade.
Chairman, Councillor Rickman, remember, who's been on this council slightly longer than me, that when the Liberal Democrats ran it, we appointed a Conservative chairman, because we believe in sharing it. The County Council last year had a Liberal Democrat chairman, because they realised they should share the position. This is obviously something that this council has yet to see. Why do I think Caroline Rackham will be a good vice chairman and future chairman? She's compassionate, she cares, she's intelligent, she's an experienced politician with a little p, and understands people and understands what is necessary. And we need chairman to do it. And this is no actually negative to Councillor Rickman either. But I'm just saying why she should do it. Councillor Frampton made a very interesting point, actually. He said, we need a forester. Absolutely right. But the Waterside's part of the forest, we have spent a whole hour per day debating that we are stronger together. And here, this council has the opportunity to prove it really means that by appointing a councillor from the Waterside to the position of vice chairman and then chairman. And I know that Alan Glass is going to say he was chairman a few years ago, but he's still a Conservative. You haven't broken that chain of we win, we get all. But now we have a balanced council. This is the opportunity for a different approach that is fair. Thank you, Chairman. So I would say vote for...
Thank you. Councillor Chieri.
Thank you, Chairman. It's a rare occasion when I can correct Councillor Wade, because he makes so few errors. But can I remind him that the Conservatives, a number of years ago, perhaps before he was even on the council, we put in a Liberal Democrat, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Shand. The result was we all sat to attention when he conducted the assembly here. They used to say that chairman got the job for long service and good behaviour, which is why I'll never be chairman. But I do recognise the fact that Barry has given many, many years of devoted, loyal, consistent service to this council and to the residents where he lives. I do believe it is a right reward, if we can look at it in that way, that Barry should become the chairman of this council. He is worthy of it, and I believe it is right and proper that we honour him in this particular way. And I know that Barry will treat it, indeed, as an honour to be chairman of this particular council after all the many things that he has done for the residents of the New Forest and this council.
Thank you. Members, this is a contested position. I'll now ask officers to arrange the required secret ballot. Thank you, everybody. The result of the vote is Rickman 24, Rackham 16 with 2 abstains. So Councillor Rickman is the deputy for next year. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 12. Any other items which the chairman decides are urgent? Don't get up yet. There are none. Can I take the opportunity to thank you all for working through this evening's important business? I declare this meeting closed and thank you for a special night.